Alright, so here is the final version of the main method for part 1, really. You can see it's really simple and it can only hold up to 100 items altogether since each one of these gets filled at the same time. And really all this one is doing is just it's importing the movies and then printing out the start menu, which all the way down here gives the user the option to browse the movies when they input 1, find a movie by name when they input 2, add a movie by inputting 3, remove a movie by inputting 4, and sort movies by name by putting 5. And with 20 they can exit the program. Now you see here, basically, I have it looping through and taking the input that the user puts in. And as you can see here, if they put in anything that is an integer other than 1 through 5 or 20, it will say invalid number and basically tell them to try again. Now here you can see the final version of Program 2, and it's relatively similar to the main class in the first program, but now instead it's making the movies, like movie items, instead of just keeping everything in separate arrays. As you can see here with the import movies method, every time it's creating a movie object and then adding it. And as you can see down here in the print menu, it's still the same thing, but now taking into account the list of the array of movies instead. Now here in the final version from part 3, you can see that now Greenbox itself is its own class with different methods to modify and create items within the list. Now, down here, you can see that the main is just basically creating the new Greenbox item and then doing box.start, which that brings up the menu for it, and it goes ahead and imports the movies, and then this one will now allow the user to sort by director, year, and rating as well. Now, part 4 is a little different from the final version from part 3, but it's still basically the same. It's just adding a size quantity list, a quantity list and a times rented list into the Greenbox item, into the Greenbox class, which holds the quantity and times rented for the corresponding movie items at the same index in the array. Now, the main method is still the same, and the menu is also still the same, except now you can return a movie and rent a movie. But when it comes to the sorting, as you can see, I also had to move the quantities and the times rented as well. That way the movies could have the correct quantity and times rented for each of them. Now, a big change happened in the final version of Part 5 when compared to Part 4. Because now the list that is in the Greenbox class now holds vendable items, which vendable is just an interface class with the movie class, book class, and popcorn class all in inheriting vendables so that they can all be within that. Now, with that happening though, since there is the ability to rent and return items, I kept renting the same, because it would still basically be the same, because the quantity would go down and the rental count would go up. Now, that wouldn't make sense too much with the popcorn, but I figured it would be okay since that could also be seen as times bought. But when it comes to the return item though, I now have it being with a, let me get to it, with a boolean on each thing, well, on each class that is set to true in the constructors for the movie class and the book class. However, for the popcorn class, it is always false. And now the importance of this is that in the return item method, I will only allow it to actually return the item and then increment the quantity if the returnable variable is equal to true. This way they cannot return popcorn, which is why I have cannot return popcorn here if this comes up false, which it only will if the vendable item is of the popcorn class. And now you can see here that the main method still has not changed really. Most of the changes has happened to the other methods, which was just making them be able to take vendable items. However, a good bit of change also came to the main menu, because now you can see here we also have the ability to sort with binary search, sort items recursively with binary sort, add a book with a quantity, add popcorn with a quantity as well. Now I will show you a demonstration. Alright, I will now show the program being ran and each of the menu items being selected. Now, as you can see, when I input 1, it will show all of the browsable items. Let me make that a bit bigger. Now, when I do 2, it will return the index of the item you're looking for based off of the name. So, for example, here, 1922, because it's at number 9, its index will be returned as 8. Now 3 will let you add a movie item, which this one just requires you to enter a title. We'll just do an A for now, because these really don't matter. Director, and then rating. And this will create a movie object with a quantity of 1 and a rent counter of 0, as you can see here, and it just adds it to the end of the array list. Now 4 also creates a movie object. However, as you can see, the difference being with this one, it will also ask for the quantity, because this one will allow you to input a movie object and have a custom amount available. As seen here, you can see it was added and it has an available amount of 99. Now the next method, or the next option is to remove an item, which this one will remove the item for whichever index you put in. So if we put in, say, index 15 to remove that movie item with count we just added, it will remove that movie. Now 6, when that's inputted, we'll sort them by name. 7, we'll sort them by the person that made it. 8, we'll sort by the year it was released. 9, we'll sort by the rating. Although an issue I'm running into, as you can see, is that these come first because they have a 1 at the beginning because of the way that I'm comparing them. Because each of these are string objects instead of being actual integers. That way it was easily read and everything. Now, 10 will allow you to rent an item, which by doing this it will decrease the availability, but it will increase the amount of times rented. Now, for example, we rent popcorn, like the first one. You can see that it rented a medium popcorn, which it brought down the availability to 2, but increased the times rented. Now, 11, will allow us to add, to return an object. Now, for example, if we put in, say, 3, which is the index of the Alien movie, you can see that Alien was returned and the amount was incremented. However, if we tried that for, say, the popcorn item, as you can see here, it will not allow you to do that. Now, 12 allows us to do a binary sort, which will return the index of the item through binary search. Now see here, this is, by putting in this should return index 11. Oh wait, no, I'm sorry. It's a sort. I got that mixed up with a binary search. But yes, that will sort them through binary. Now, 13 will do the same thing, but recursively. As you can see, I have it printing out the order as it's going through just to make sure it's being safe. And here we go. Now, 14 will allow us to add a book. Let's do small a. 9a. Now, as you can see, this will add a book. Now, 15 will do the same thing, but with a quantity. As you can see here, this will be 7. So now we have a book item with 7. 16 will allow us to add popcorn. Now you can see here. And 17 will allow us to add a popcorn object. But this time, it will also ask for the quantity. As you can see. And that's it, basically.